Hello.
Hello.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, one Virgo to another,
I know.
talking about Virgo stuff,
Yes.
quality. Yes?
Perfectionism.
Well, maybe not perfectionism. That's like something we need to get better at, but it does have its positives, right? Like making sure that things are up to quality standards. So I
Exactly.
wanted to talk to you because I know that you've worked in some pretty big hotels like the St. Regis, Westin. You can tell me more if there's been more. But as a quality assurance manager, right?
hmm So, well, I started at the W Hotel here in Mexico City in Polanco after I graduated from hotel management. I started at, I remember this department was called Whatever Whenever, which is basically guest service but with a more sophisticated name, whatever, whenever. So it was basically get whatever the guests wanted whenever they wanted, of course, as long as it was legal and ethical. No, that was
Yes.
the policy. So I started as whatever, whenever agent, and after a couple of years, I became well, first a supervisor and then the manager, and then as the manager of whatever whenever was in charge not only of whatever whenever department, but also he was in charge of the quality assurance of the hotel. So what quality assurance means is that you need to make sure that every single brand standard is applied in every area, starting with the reservation process, going through the check-in process until the checkout. So, as you must know, every single hotel, restaurant, or um, place, wherever they offer a service, they have brand standard guidelines you have to follow. So, I was in charge of making sure every single area was complying with those standards. So, that was at the W Hotel. And then part of my role as a whatever whenever manager and quality assurance manager was to to the corporate center and a quality assurance supervisor the from corporate, just to make sure you were complying with those standards. So they were staying as a mystery shopper, and then at the end of their stay, they requested to speak with a general manager just to share their experiences in terms of service, food quality, their interactions with the employees. So I was in charge with the general manager to go through that evaluation process with that mystery guest too. So that mystery guest was employed by a different company, and then I became a quality assurance guest for that company after my experience or my time with at the W Hotel. So that's when I became officially a quality assurance manager, traveling around Mexico City, evaluating different brands from economic brands like. Can I say the brands or should we?
I don't know. Can you say the brands? Did you
Okay,
sign
from
any?
maybe a City Express, which is basically like a business hotel, to more luxury brands like St. Regis, Westin, W.
Hang on, because this is super interesting. But my body's going through something, and I need to deal with my nose.
Okay.
BRB, BRB, BRB. And I'm gonna mute so that no.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Wow. Okay, so you did that for City Express all the way up to more luxury hotels. So you know a thing or two about quality. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it all depends on the tricky part was to learn a little bit more about the brands because it's completely different to evaluate a Four Points or a City Express to a St. Regis. So sometimes
Oh.
I had to go to a City Express, and then the next day I was evaluating a luxury brand hotel. So part of your role is to study a little bit more about the brand and going there with those expectations based on the brand standards for those brands. So yeah, it
Mm.
was fun, but yeah, it was a little bit hard just to learn all the brand standards because you need to be able to know what are you evaluating from the reservation process. We used to start evaluating the hotel by phone through the reservation process or sometimes online, just making the reservation on their webpage. And it's completely different from one brand to another.
So thinking about retreats, how could you apply that experience to, I mean, obviously there are different retreat spaces. You can
Mhm.
have a place that's like camping or glamping, and then you have a place that's more luxurious with more comforts. So like how do the standards work? Like the camping has less things on the checklist than the luxury brand, or like how does that work?
Yes, I would compare maybe the camping with a economic brand like as I was telling you, Four Points or City Express, and then glamping or a more luxury retreat to a luxury brand hotel. So you need to start first knowing your target audience. That's how we used to work in hotels. Like for instance, at the W Hotel, um, we were constantly working on building up the guest profile to know a little bit more about them, like if they were married, how many children, if they were into sports, which team is their favorite team, if they're into food, what's their favorite dish, and that way you started building their profile, and that's one way to personalize their experience once they're there. And you also have to use every single interaction with the guest to try to get more information so you're able to connect with them, because at the end of the day that's what it makes a difference, connecting with guests, not only sending a bottle of champagne or strawberries covered with chocolate, but connecting with them on a deeper level. And the way we used to connect with them is by getting to know them on a personal level and being able to personalize their stay based on that information. So for retreats, I would recommend first to learn who's your target audience, and then trying to get more personal details about them to be able to also personalize their experience throughout the retreat.
So what, I mean, oh, I have so many questions now.
Hmm.
I need to pace myself.
Yeah.
Let's say you were going undercover
Hmm.
to a retreat and you were going to evaluate from start to finish. Like, what are some of the things that you would look for? And while you're going through the experience, tell me like what are some of the mistakes or some things that you've seen that's really makes the experience like it puts a damper on the experience.
Yeah, that's a good question because, yes, before jumping into this whole personalization thing, you need to start with the basics. So,
Yeah.
the basics for hotels, or in this case for retreats, um, we used to divide it in different categories, starting with cleanliness. You need to make sure every single area is clean, including the room, of course.
Okay, but wait.
Cleanliness is one.
Let's talk about go through the list. I don't want to interrupt you, but I
Yeah.
really want to go deep into cleanliness because
Yes.
I feel like cleanliness is objective. Like everybody has their own
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
idea of what it means to be clean. So I want to go
Mhm.
deeper into that. But okay, so you say cleanliness.
Cleanliness conditions or maintenance. That's another one category that we use to evaluate. Of course, service, and this includes service interactions from the reservation process throughout the whole experience in the retreat. Then, if you're offering something regarding food and beverage, you need to evaluate the service within the food and beverage outlets, and of course, the quality of the food. Um, so that's cleanliness, conditions, service, and I would add brand identity. So brand identity is what makes you different from other brands. So those four categories, those were the most important. And within every single interaction or experience, if it's either a spa or a room service or going to the restaurant or the bar, you need to evaluate the cleanliness, the conditions, the service interactions, and the quality or of whatever you're ordering, if it's food or beverage.
Okay, that's those are really good. So let's talk
Mhm.
about cleanliness.
Okay.
What does it mean? What does it mean when something is clean? Like everyone has their own definition, but what does it actually mean?
So, in my personal experience in hotels, the worst thing that could happen is just to find like a hair in either the linen, the pillows, the bathroom. That was like the reason enough for you to fail in cleanliness. So you need to make sure there's no like the room is clean, there's no hair. Um, I understand that subjective part, but you need to just follow the basics, no?
Yeah.
If
But
it's
you're a
clean,
Virgo, so it's different. You know what it means. You know what it means. We have strict standards, but like yeah,
yeah,
the smell also, right?
of course, the smell and the conditions of the room. If you see that painting in the bathroom is not good, that will impact on the guest stay. So we used to evaluate cleanliness at the same time as conditions, but just make sure before you are hosting someone to go through the whole room, or if it's the retreat, the the facilities, just making sure everything is clean and organized, because that makes like a huge impact on the guest perception of the hotel.
Definitely. I mean, I would pay more for a place that I knew was going to be spotless.
Exactly.
So, okay, so you said, what are some conditions? You mentioned the paint. Is there any other condition that you've experienced that you're like, oh no, that's not good?
Well, yeah, maybe in the bathroom, if the shower is not working properly, if the pressure of the water is not the appropriate pressure, if the furniture is not well, has not good conditions, even the linen of the bed, these the pillows, the curtains. That's one important aspect. Or sometimes we just forget about the curtains and they're dirty, and we just don't check them properly. So just making sure that you are delivering an experience based on what the guest is paying. No, you need to make sure that if the guest is paying like a good amount of money, he will leave saying, "Well, it was worth it." No,
Mm-hmm. And so, what are those? What's the fifth? What you said? Cleanliness, conditions, service, uh,
identity. That's an important
brand
one.
identity. What does that look like?
So brand identity, every single brand has their specific brand standards. As I was telling you, the brand standards from an economic hotel, but they would be very different to the luxury brand hotel. So that's mainly part of the brand identity, and the brand identity is determined based on your target audience. So you need to first know who are you targeting your service to, and based on that target audience, you need to create this whole experience to be able to fulfill their needs based on your target audience. So that's mainly brand identity, and brand identity can be from how's the interaction. For instance, at the W, we used to call every single guest by their name, but not in every hotel you call them by their name. You know, here in Mexico City, we normally use their last name, but in at the W, we wanted to be like different, and we used to call them by their first name to be more personal. So that was part of their the brand identity from the hotel, from that specific hotel, from the W hotel. But if you go to a St. Regis hotel, you would never be called by your first name. You will be always called by your last name. So that's part of their brand identity because it's a little bit more formal to call the guests by their last name as opposed to call them by their first name. So that depends on your target audience. In your case, if you're working on a retreat, I believe that that retreat will be targeting to a specific audience, and based on that specific audience, you need to create like a checklist of different brand standards that will meet those specific needs.
And would you say that part of the branding is also like, I mean, for example, napkins? Maybe
Yes.
if you're camping, you just have regular napkins. They're nice, but they're regular napkins. Versus if you're
Yeah.
in a more luxury, the
Yes.
napkins are branded with the logo
Yes.
and like there's attention
Exactly.
to detail that goes
Yeah.
deeper.
Yeah, brand identity is everything. Everything from like even what's the type of linen they use for the bed, or what are the books or magazines that you're gonna put in the room, to the service interaction. What do you need to ask throughout the reservation process? What do you need to ask during the check-in process? Everything is part of the brand identity, from the material things to the things related to service.
So what makes like if you want to say I'm hosting a luxury retreat,
Hmm.
what parameters or what characteristics does that retreat have to have in order for it to actually be a luxury retreat?
Um, well, starting first, you need to the in my opinion, you have to differentiate yourself from other retreats. No, so with that being said, is you need to make sure that, starting with the reservation, if they wanted to book the retreat with you, you need to make sure the reservation process you're following is different than other hotels. That will make you different, and when people see you as different, they will see value in that retreat. And when they see value, they are able to pay more. So that will be aligned with luxury, to be different from others. And I'm not saying just different to be different, but different like in the good sense of personalizing the reservation process, uh, asking things that maybe they are not. they haven't experienced before in other retreats. And of course, whenever you're hosting them, you need to make sure that their whole experience is different from others. That I know that I'm repeating that word over and over again, but
What does it
that's what
mean
makes
to be different? Like, can you give an example?
well, to be different is what I would do is first check based on the type of retreat you're planning to do is try to get more information from other retreats. How are they doing the reservation process? And then with that information, try just to make it different. Try to place your personal taste to that reservation process based on whatever you're trying to sell. You must have something different to offer. So I would focus on that main goal, uh, and then based on that, try just to align that with every single interaction, starting with the reservation process.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Or
Yeah. Um, so, like, for example, if I'm doing a retreat
Mhm.
for vocal healing, like a retreat for chanting and healing the voice and things like that, maybe if somebody calls me, like there's a chorus singing in the background, or like you said, it's a brand identity. So it's everything having to do like a theme
Yes, that's
that's
a
all tying everything together.
exactly. That's a great idea. I mean, you have to. I'm not very familiar with that, but what I would do is just to start comparing if there are other retreats offering the same service, and just get two or three examples of how they offer the same service, and just make it your own.
Yeah, that part is important because I think there's a lot of hesitation to want to see what other people doing because
Hmm.
words like competition or stealing or come into the mix, and
Hmm.
it's okay to be inspired by other
Exactly.
people
See it as inspiration instead of copying. It's just being
as long
inspired,
as
and
you
you're gonna
don't
do it
copy.
exactly. As long as you don't do it exactly the same, but you're gonna be inspired, and then from that inspiration, you're gonna get new ideas based on whatever you're offering.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about because you've been to a lot of places, and
Hmm.
I've been to places with you where we're critiquing, like the food, and we're looking how the space, oh, this is nice, and we're just checking everything out. So what are some of the red flags? Like I know you talked a little bit about cleanliness and the conditions, but what are some other things that people do wrong, or they're missing out because they're not doing this, and we need to
Hmm.
do more of this?
Um, in general, or in a restaurant, or
I mean, we can talk about, maybe we can split it up into groups. Like,
hmm
I get to the place, I arrive.
hmm
Should I have something on my bed? A little note?
hmm
What are those details that maybe they're not so expensive, but
hmm
they make a big difference because it's intentional?
hmm So yeah, so I was saying, you need to use every single interaction to try to get more information from the guests. So in this case, if you arrive into the hotel, you went already through the reservation process, and I would just to make sure that whoever is assisting the guest with the reservation, they should follow some questions to get some of the information from the guest. That way, you'll be able to personalize their stay, starting with the check-in and when they arrive to the room. But if you're not able to get that personal information during the reservation, it's very complicated to surprise the guests when they arrive. So to starting with the first interaction, which is the reservation process, I would just make sure to follow 3 4 questions just to get a little bit of information from the guests, and that way you can surprise them once they arrive, either with food, with we used to, I remember at the W, we used to surprise them with their fav. If they were into sports, we used to get them something regarding that team. No, could be a jersey, it could be a cup, it could be whatever. Maybe if you know a player from that team, you can get even an autograph. Or that's those are just examples of how you can personalize their stay. But in order to do that, you need to be able um, to get personal information from them before,
To connect with them, like you were saying.
to connect with them. Yes, first through the reservation process, and you need to make sure throughout their stay, use every single interaction to try to get a little bit more about them.
Okay. Can you tell me what was the worst experience you've ever had?
In hotels, wow. The worst experience. I mean, the worst experience I remember, it was not necessarily as a quality assurance, but it was, I was the manager, and uh, one guest, he just killed
Oh
himself
my
in the
God.
room.
I was not expecting you to
No,
say that. I
I
thought you were
was.
going to be like, oh, there was stains on the linen. That's so dark.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I went to the
Jeez.
worst. That was the first thing came to my mind, because I can tell you I found a bunch of hairs in rooms. But to be honest, like apart from that, I don't remember. I mean, in hotels, even if you missed a wake up call, if you forget to call the guest, they can lose their flight. So that's not good for them, because you need to pay for a flight. So missing a wake up call is something in hotels that's really bad. But yeah, in terms of quality assurance, cleanliness, even not being able to sleep because there's too much noise from the neighbors, or from the hotel itself. Um, but yes, I would say that's the worst thing that happened. I remember um, security went up, and they told he was an American guest, that he was just escaping from the U.S. From he was obviously he was not very good with mental health, and I was shocked, because that was the first last time I experienced that in hotels. So
That's
that was
awful.
shocking. That was shocking. Yes.
Yeah. But you mentioned a good moment of silence for the dude. You mentioned something really important, which is sleep. You know,
I
like in
know.
investing in quality mattress, especially on a retreat, right? Because you're there to relax, to rest, to rejuvenate, and
Mhm.
sleep is such a huge part of that. So like if the bedding isn't the best, if the mattress is too hard, if there's light coming in the window, like just
Mhm.
taking care of the bedroom as a sanctuary is so important.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You need to first experience yourself the whole retreat experience. You need to go through it yourself to make sure what is it type of experience that the guests are gonna be living. So sometimes you think everything is all set, but whenever you experience it yourself, you need to you start um, finding things like cleanliness conditions, the water, the pressure of the water. So yeah, I would recommend to first uh, go through the whole process yourself, and you'll be able to see if you need to adjust some of the process too.
So now I want to ask you, what was the best experience ever that that you experienced? Like you went to the place, you slept in the bed, you went through the whole process, and you were like, "Wow, this is immaculate."
Well, I remember in Panama, staying in a Sheraton hotel. They were following every single brand standard as it was from the reservation process. The checking, the service was great, and the whole experience was great. I was really surprised because what that was one of the it's really hard to get like a grade above 90%. And I remember they got maybe 93%. So sometimes you don't even know if they know that you're the mystery guest, and that's why they're doing everything perfect. But as long as you haven't confirmed that, you need just to follow the whole evaluation and give the grade that they got. Because yes, I remember sometimes you knew that they knew you were the mystery guest, and they were constantly exceeding your expectations, and you're starting to become suspicious. And then once you confirm they knew, you can just cancel the whole evaluation and just call the office and let them know that they knew. But if that was not the case, it was very surprising just to being able to experience that whole hotel service quality, conditions, maintenance, cleanliness, service interaction without without a single mistake. No, so they got 93% maybe because of some minor condition details, but that was a very good experience at Sheraton in Panama.
I'm just having thoughts about this. This would be a really amazing idea. Just having quality assurance for retreats
Yes.
and for retreat centers.
Yeah, the thing about hotels and in your case retreats is that you need to be consistent, not because you are 100% sure that they'll be experiencing a good stay with you. That means that within a 2 3 months, they will experience the same thing. So in order for you to be consistent, you need to make sure you are evaluating your your experience and your stay, your retreat.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about what's the type of retreat you want to work, and yoga retreat, and do you have something in mind already, or you're starting to
I'm
you're working on it?
still working out the offer
Okay.
because there are many things that I can do,
Mm-hmm.
but they're tools. It's not like a main offer. So I know I want to
Mm-hmm.
incorporate a lot of yoga.
Mm.
I mean, eventually, I think I've told you that I want to have my own retreat property
Yeah.
eventually.
Okay. Cool.
Um, but and I want it to be very intentional, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Cleanliness to me, to answer your question, it's going to be about mindfulness,
Wow.
helping mental health, emotional health, emotional well-being, and
Mm.
physical well-being. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the mind body spirit connection. But
Nice.
I like creating a space that is full of nature. To me, late nature says luxury.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have one plant, it's not for me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want it. At least one
Mm-hmm.
plant, right?
Yeah.
But the more plants, the more green, dark green, it just feels richer in
Mm-hmm.
life. What's really rich. And then like natural materials, simple, very simple, because I think sometimes we get carried away with trying to make too much,
Yes.
and it just it simple sometimes can be better, less is more. And
Mm-hmm.
then the cleaning, like when you maybe the space is not that great, or maybe it needs updating, it's a little bit old, but if it's clean, that's
Yeah,
a huge upgrade
I know.
already.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm so adamant about it, because you could have a little shack, and if that shack is spotless, I could have a good experience in it.
exactly. And that's the reason I ask you is because you don't have to follow like every single brand standard of a luxury brand or of a luxury retreat. The reason I ask you is to see if first you know your audience. And now that you mentioned that you want to target it to people who are into mindfulness, into mental health, mind body connection, you know what they are expecting, and they are not expecting luxury. They're expecting, as you were saying, someplace clean and wherever they can feel like in a calm environment. And based on that, you need to just figure out if you are going to be hosting like in a new place, in an old place, as long as it's clean. But you already have like the general idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know, and it sounds very interesting. You
Yeah.
plan to have it maybe Tepoztlan, or you don't have a location yet?
I have no idea. Right now, it's just like a point in my head. I don't see it very soon. I just know it's
Hmm,
there. Maybe in 10
cool,
years. I'm,
nice,
I'm happy to wait for the right situation.
of course.
And like a complete sensory experience, because that's what
Mhm.
makes us human. So
Yes.
I want things to see, I want things to smell, I want things to touch, I want things to hear, I want, the place to give me a feeling. Like I was talking with my friend Furgo about architecture and how the space needs to make you feel something. It's not
Hmm.
just white walls and
Hmm.
we're gonna just, it's empty, but
Exactly. And
feeling
that's
something.
what we were just mentioning about being different. You just said it. You just want to give your personal touch, and your personal touch is just different than others. So you have your difference there. You already have
Yes.
it. So good. That's good. Very good.
Thank you. So, my friend, we've talked about a lot of stuff.
I
I'm just
know.
going to look through our questions here. Um,
There were plenty of questions.
there
Yes.
was a lot, and we've answered a lot.
Yeah.
Mm, I think I just have two more. I
Hmm.
wanna know, like, if you have any general advice for somebody that wants to create a retreat property.
Hmm.
Um, but before I ask you that one, I want to ask you about a spa, like having a spa, the quality of the spa in a retreat center.
So I would start with what I was mentioning before. It will all depend on on the type of the retreat. You will find a very different spa from if we talk about hotels, it's going to be very different a spa in a business hotel to a luxury brand hotel. So that will apply the same thing to a retreat. Um, to a retreat, but based on what you mentioned me before, I would focus on not maybe luxury, but sensory things that will impact the guest senses, their touch, what they're smelling, what they're listening to, the type of music, and of course the service once they're in the spa. What are the massages that they'll have include? Maybe have a, I'm not sure if that's too much of a luxury, but a sauna and a cold plunge. So that, in my opinion, for the type of retreat you're planning to have, those would be some of the features I would include.
There's this place in Miami. It's my favorite hotel.
Oh yeah.
It's called the Standard,
Mm.
and they have a hammam.
Mm.
It's really big. Well, their spa is incredible.
What's a
So you
hammam?
go in. Oh, it's a Turkish uh, steam
Like a Turkish
sauna room.
temazcal?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's I mean there are different kinds. This one was very big. It's like you walk into the room and there's a huge open space and there's just like I think it's marble. It's made of
Mm.
marble and there are like three layers in a circle
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like an outer layer. And people just lay on that. The stone is heated, so it's hot and you're laying on the stone and then meanwhile there's like steam coming down
Mm.
from everywhere. And then they also had like a um I don't know, they also had a sauna
Mm-hmm.
with wood and the the hot water that you pour on the rock. And then they had a steam room with eucalyptus essential oil and like you're breathing
Wow.
it in. And then they had these metal tubs, like
Wow.
these old style tubs, and then you get in the tub and you do like body treatments with these natural. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. This is
Yeah, so you already
I'm
have your
going.
answer of what to include in your spa.
But you need somebody to run that kind of like
That's
you need
true.
people to offer the services, to clean
Mm-hmm.
it, to maintain it.
Mm-hmm. I remember the time we went to the Temazcal. That was my first time and last time, and it was tough. But just like any other things, maybe Temazcals are not for everyone. But based on the target audience you are planning to offer your service, this Turkish thing sounds very very interesting.
I think I'm mixing it up by the way. I don't
Oh
think it's
yeah?
Turkish.
Oh
It's
no.
not Turkish. There's
What's
Turkish
the name again?
bath.
Hammam?
It's Hammam. I don't think it's Turkish.
Hammam. Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
But it looks Turkish.
it does.
Baño turco, it's called in Spanish.
Ah, okay.
Or baño
All right.
árabe. Oh wow, that's
Menu
cool.
árabe. Oh
Never
yeah,
been
it
to that
was
before.
luxury. Yeah. So I think eventually when I have mine is definitely gonna be luxury, but it's gonna be natural luxury.
Nice.
Like an overload of nature, but
Mm.
intentionally.
Yes, that's a good point because there are levels of luxury. No, for people, maybe nature is not very luxury, but for some, it's very important to have nature involved to being able to call it luxury. But yes, and for some people, nature doesn't have to be involved to be luxury. I mean, you can go to the St. Regis here in Mexico City, is considered luxury, and maybe you'll be able just to see just some plants. No, not a lot, but based on the people you're targeting to, I'm pretty sure that they will consider luxury nature too.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, we have reached the end. Are there any last pieces of advice that you like to
No, I would
give?
conclude only to just to recap. I would just say to know your guest, know your people, know your target audience, try to get as many personal information from them as you can, and just try to be consistent with the service you're offering. Consistency is key, and in order to be consistent, you need to keep checking over and over again all the processes involved. And you can make adjustments too, but just make sure that every single guest experience is consistent with the service you're trying to offer.
Okay, that's very good advice. Thank you, my friend, for your time and for being here, sharing your wisdom.
My pleasure. It was good talking
Okay.
to you. I hope to see you soon in Israel.